Thank you everyone for joining our post ASUG Tech Connect webinar where we'll talk to you about observing and securing SAP like never before and the talk around RISE, Cloud ALM, and ASUG Tech Connect takeaways. We encourage you to wait until the end to put all your questions in the Q&A option. We'll make sure to answer each and every one of them. All right, for our agenda today, we'll be starting off with what we learned at ASUG Tech Connect, an introduction to RHONDOS, BTP Integration Suite, and the challenges customers face, the buzz around AI, SAP RISE and the fear around basis jobs, and Cloud ALM. And as for our speakers today, we have our amazing speaker, Brian Bates, our Senior Director of Go-to-Market Strategy, and our Technical Sales Engineer, Benjamin Dare. Okay, now let's get into what we learned at ASUG Tech Connect. RHONDOS was a proud sponsor again this year, and ASUG delivered a number of powerful, insightful sessions. I wanted to highlight just three that really stood out to us. First, AI agents are changing the game. Today, SIM platforms come with agents that automate much of the triage and troubleshooting process. By feeding SAP telemetry into SIM platforms through Splunk, those agents can filter noise and accelerate issue resolution. The second being how customers are using BTP Integration Suite. Power Connect is a key asset to SAP BTP Integration Suite because it delivers deep, real-time visibility into integration performance, security, and system behavior. And the third being the use case of Cloud ALM, the use of Cloud ALM. While Cloud ALM provides foundational monitoring, Power Connect offers a more comprehensive real-time view of SAP and integration landscape, helping teams resolve problems quickly and understand their system behavior. All right, let's go ahead and jump into an introduction to RHONDOS and who we are. We're the exclusive distributor of Power Connect in North America, the premier way to bring SAP data into SIM platforms like Splunk, Dynatrace, Elastic, and more. What makes us unique is that we live at the intersection of SAP and SIM. Our team is one of the few globally that's truly cross-trained across both ecosystems. With Power Connect, we deliver critical telemetry data from SAP into SIM platforms, unlocking visibility into SAP and enabling true end-to-end observability across enterprise IT. The ROI of our customers is tangible, lower monitoring costs, stronger security, and faster resolution times. In short, we help organizations stop firefighting blind spots in SAP and start building resilience across their business. So now I'll go ahead and hand it over to Brian.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. Great introduction. We're going to try something a little bit different today. We're going to take this kind of webinar and fuse it with a podcast style approach. And so I'll stop my share and get us out of the slides. And I'm really excited to have a conversation with Mr. Ben Dare today. Ben, you've been with RHONDOS here for a few years now. And before that, you spent, over 2 decades in the trenches of basis, managing all of the problems at the core platform level. And this certainly wasn't your first ASUG event or SAP event. There's been many over the years. There's been many changes. A lot of the folks who are joining us today may not be familiar with ASUG Tech Connect because it is only in its 3rd year. And RHONDOS, we're super proud sponsors for the 3rd year running, big supporters of ASUG, which is the user group for America around SAP users. So, if Sapphire is this big glossy keynote show, Tech Connect is what? That's where the actual architects and hands-on keyboard people get stuff done. I mean, is that kind of what it is?
100%, Brian. Yes. Before joining RHONDOS and working more in a sales capacity, like you said, I was a basis admin. So I attended, one Sapphire prior to getting into sales. And I realized very quickly that it wasn't for me. It was, much more for higher level execs, focused on sales. Tech ed was always my my go-to conference that I wanted to attend, or now Tech Connect, because it was very much more focused on the technical side. There's a lot of, hands-on workshops where you can actually, attend sessions, get into the system, do some actual, configuration, programming, all of those fun things inside of the system. And so, yeah, for me, Tech Connect or Tech Ed has always been my favorite conference.
So that's awesome and kind of interesting because you said Tech Connect, but also Tech Ed. So Tech Connect's only in its third year. So you're saying that this isn't just a brand new venture; that this kind of format existed prior.
It did, yeah. So Tech Ed was the conference that SAP put on, and I don't know exactly what happened. Again, I'm, just kind of my opinion, but it seemed like SAP was no longer going to run that conference, and so ASEG stepped up to the plate. I think they still saw a need for the technical folks to be able to absorb that kind of information, and so yeah, there was a shift a couple of years ago.
Interesting. I've been working with ASUG here for 3 years now, and I find them to be absolutely wonderful to work with. They tend to be more of a community first approach, and so is what's ASUG Tech Connect built for? Like the audience of hands on keyboard, sure, but there must be some other personas that attend. We were one of the sponsors. The pavilion hall was actually a pretty good size compared to past events. So who typically is going to attend ASUG Tech Connect?
So in my experience, it is definitely the hands-on keyboard folks, right? It's not necessarily um, management that's there. While, some of those folks do attend, you've got all the people from the different functional areas that are there to learn about, you know, ways that they can configure finance, what this move from ECC to S4 means for them. Obviously, sessions about clean core, which is still a relatively new topic for those that haven't moved into Rise or S4 yet. There was a lot about BTP, obviously, because SAP has this big push to move all of the old legacy on-prem applications to their SaaS model. And so a lot of the sessions are really geared around what does that migration look like for customers, and what kind of fears do they have? And one of the things that I really liked were the sessions that were kind of community focused, where ASUG does a great job of like looking for feedback. They have a lot of forums online where users can go ask questions, but they bring everybody together. For example, on Integration Suite, where customers that are going through this together can ask questions and solve problems together in a forum and get feedback from users as to what kind of sessions would be helpful in the future, and what they need, what kind of content they need on the ASUG website.
That's really incredible. It's funny. I didn't hear you mention AI once, um, which is it feels like we're just surrounded by AI. We've been getting requests from customers. We've had a few reach out asking about what our AI strategy is, how we're addressing the market with respect to artificial intelligence. And since 2023, when ChatGPT, or maybe 2022 it was, when ChatGPT was first launched, there seems to be this race to talk about AI. Um, what was the overall vibe of AI during the conference? Was it promoting it? Was there any feedback around it? Was it still a buzz for those who are in the trenches every day?
It's a huge buzz, and as you said, a lot of companies have initiatives to implement AI because it's the hot, latest, greatest buzzword. My experience going to a lot of different conferences is that a lot of the AI marketing that's out there really isn't true AI. In my opinion, it's just machine learning, right? So people are overhyping AI, and I think trying to sell products that aren't necessarily offering true AI, which we at Rondos don't do that. I think we try to be more partner and customer friendly and don't engage in that kind of marketing. But yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think that's totally fair. During the keynote, I remember there being some light survey results and responses from the community where nobody wants to hear anything about AI, but everybody wants to hear about what is successful in AI. What are
Yes.
those projects that are delivering actual results, meaningful results, not just, like you said, machine learning from 15 years ago that has a new sticker on it that says AI. And I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. I think people who are having to manage the systems and manage the requests and requirements of all these new digital transformation initiatives are probably getting a little tired of all these old tech options with a new AI veneer on it. What was the overall vibe and venue like? So this year it was held in Louisville, Kentucky. So we're in bourbon country. We're in horse country. It's the horse racing capital of the world, basically. Um, it was a brand new venue for ASUG Tech Connect. I personally have never been there before. I thought the accommodations were pretty nice. But how was the conference set up and the overall vibe?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it was a huge space. There was, a large number of people there, but because like the conference rooms and all of the meetings were on the bottom floor, you really didn't feel like it was as busy as it was until there was, an event like at Churchill Downs, which was amazing, by the way. I'd never been, and that was fantastic. Be able to see the horses and the betting games that they had there was really cool. Yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked downtown Louisville. We got to experience a lot of the restaurants right there, across from the convention center. Everything was really close walking distance. Weather was nice.
Overall, it was a pretty good trip. I agree with you. And we had a really good booth set up. Big shout out to Sarah for all the hard work that you put in to making that event and our sponsorship really, really successful. Um, were there any standout sessions or demos? I know that you spent a lot of time in our booth providing demos to our customers, to our partners, and other folks around the conference, but you also attended a few sessions. And so, were there any technical sessions or community sessions that really stood out to you? And what was the theme around that?
So I have to be honest, as I mentioned, I'm a little bit of a doubter for the implementation of AI technology when it comes to this because I feel a lot of it is fluff. So I did attend a specific, like AI implementation use case to prove myself wrong. And I'll be honest, I was very pleasantly surprised. Um, the use case that I went to was for an SAP customer who was trying to reduce the amount of time that it took them to give quotes in order for them to issue purchase orders for their customer. It was currently taking them anywhere from 7 to 8 business days, which, their customer didn't want to wait for. They would go to another vendor, perhaps, to, acquire the products that this particular customer was selling. And so they had a really cool AI solution that was running in AWS where the agentic AI agents were, oh, thank you for pulling that up. Yes, this is a slide from that presentation. They were actually reading emails around this entire process. So if there had been any other type of exchanges, requesting quotes, all of the parts, etc. But then also, if they're part of that process was entering data into SAP. So in the past, they would have to, go through the plethora of emails to get a complete picture of where this process was and the status, and then also pull stuff from SAP. And using agentic AI, they were having AI actually read the emails, query SAP, put all this information together, and draft an email that was ready to go to the customer. And then literally all the that functional person, forgive me, I was a basis guy, so I don't know what that person is, sales rep or whoever, would have to just approve the email, right? So that's where that human intervention comes in, not fully trusting AI in the process, but just validating that the data looks correct, it's going to the right customer, et cetera, et cetera. And they would literally just hit send. So it dropped their order to cash time from several days to like a couple of hours. It was really a cool story.
That's incredible. And so this was a customer still reading, like manually reading, probably open to a whole lot of human errors because we're only human. And once the coffee runs out, it's hard to catch everything. And all those days of trying to interpret these emails and offloading that cognitive load into AI without losing control probably was relatable to everyone in the audience. Did you feel like that was making an impact to the audience and that they found a tremendous amount of value in that?
100%. The audience was very engaged. There was a lot of questions. You could kind of see the excitement on people's face
Yeah.
to, see AI in use in a real example and how the company was benefiting from this.
Nice. That is really, really exciting. It's one of those, probably ASUG hit it on the nail on the head with that presentation, giving people what they need to hear, what they need to see versus just machine learning with AI built on top of it.
100%. And, as a side note, Swaglock, and I'm probably hacking the name of their company, but they produce high pressure valve systems. And
Okay.
I was able to raise my hand and let them know that I was a customer of theirs because as an old hobby of mine, I used to build saltwater reef aquariums and I used their products in my tank. So
So you had a personal connection
I had a
also. So
personal
yeah,
connection. Yeah.
that's incredible. Yeah, that's amazing. It's really cool to see. In fact, I'll put that slide back up again because what's really interesting about this is there's not just one vendor logo on this slide. And so this is where I find the story so interesting and compelling because it's representative that there are very few companies in the world that are SAP standard, SAP centric, and cloud centric. That's a vision of SAP to move toward that. And they're attempting to standardize with their clean core strategies there. But the reality of delivering value and products, goods and services to the customers in the world, they're an amalgamation. There's a collection of different technologies that are required, and certain ways of delivering best-in-class customer service requires best-of-breed tools, and not every one of them is SAP built. SAP is the best ERP software company on the planet, but you can see on the slide for SwageLock to deliver exceptional customer success, you've got Zendesk up there, and you've got, I'm going to mispronounce this, Carini for the agentic AI, and you still have humans in the loop. And so for me personally, when I think about holistic observability in this space, it requires a strategy that includes not just SAP data, but data from every step, from the moment a customer wants to buy something to the moment the customer receives those goods and services. And so an observability strategy has to account for all of these things. I'm curious, during that session, was that even discussed yet? Was the theme of, after we've implemented agentic AI, how do we observe it and make sure end to end things are running correctly? Did that even come up?
They did. There was a lot about the number of changes and cycles that they went through to get this implemented correctly, and the fact that they're always releasing new updates to get this um, process more fine-tuned. So Carini is the partner that was building those agentic agents,
Mm-hmm.
and we're very, very tightly linked with the SwageLock folks in terms of adding additional functionality. They were releasing patches consistently to help this process really be arrow focused on improving
Yeah.
their overall process.
Did they
One thing
disclose?
you mentioned was just
Yeah.
all the different logos on here, Brian,
Yeah.
and I really think that speaks to the importance of the partner community in the SAP ecosystem, right? Like
Totally.
we have a lot of partners that are very creative and see opportunities to help improve SAP business process workflows. And so I just, want to echo your statements that it's really cool to see all the people there and partners that help add additional functionality to SAP.
Love that so much. Did they perhaps mention what observability platform they're using to see everything end to end, quote to cache? Probably not, huh?
They did not. They did not.
Yeah, it's okay. That's
I have
okay.
to bite
I'm
my tongue sometimes and resist the urge to, you know,
put put the hand up in the session. Say, hey, have you thought about this? Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Like the same thing. Same thing. I attended a session that was hosted by Lenovo, and one of my favorite concepts at ASUG Tech Connect is that it's not it's not forced from the SAP product initiative or company initiative, and it allows the community and partners to challenge some of the assumptions or some of the assertions from SAP in a very healthy way, very collaborative way. And Rise with SAP is something that is quite popular. We have a lot of customers at RHONDOS who run SAP on Rise, and we help them observe their entire supply chain and monitor full stack the applications that are running within Rise. It is very popular. SAP's pushing it hard, but Lenovo hosted a session to really hear people's concerns or fears. And I personally was pretty surprised at how many basis admins, basis consultants, basis engineers, basis managers were raising their hand to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. This whole concept of Rise, even though it's like a contractual agreement, it's not like a new technology. It's more of a new paper process in how the systems are managed and maintained. Super surprising to hear the fearful responses from basis folks who are experts in keeping SAP running, now confronted with this paradigm where SAP says, trust us, we'll keep it running for you. I was wondering, do you have any thoughts on that and any considerations? I think we have a list here in the PowerPoint deck that I can share here. Kind of goes
Yeah,
through that.
it's definitely a paradigm shift, right? I mean, as somebody who was hands-on keyboard for a long time, I managed all three layers, right? So the operating system, the database, and the SAP application itself. And so there definitely is a fear amongst basis admins that they're going to become, ticket pushers with SAP
Yeah,
in terms of like getting them to handle certain tasks, right? But
they
there
use
are
that term.
still,
One of them said, "Am I just a ticket jockey now?" Yeah, that came
yeah,
up.
yeah, it's a real fear. Like that's the last thing a basis guy wants to do, right? Like in our minds, that's what the help desk is for. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is still a ton of activity that basis admins can perform inside of SAP, even though, I guess we're calling it platform as a service for Rise because their SAP is managing the operating system and the database. And so for me, one of the biggest ways that I was able to make an impact is just like managing the memory that's allocated to SAP itself. So, the operating system and the database obviously have their um, ways that they can be tuned for memory, but the SAP memory parameters are also very big. So, from the execution time that, queries are running and absorbing memory inside of the ABAP layer, um, it's not all just what you can see inside of my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. STO2 to be able to see the memory. I've got it there on the screen and I still drew like trying to pull it from my
I
head.
mean, it's a lot. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just what you can see there, right? There's a lot more to it. I
Yeah.
had, one particular account that I used to work on that would run CJI3. They built airplanes, so their bill of materials was huge. And if the users didn't restrict their queries to have these things small, it would blow up all the time. And
Mm.
so, working with those memory parameters is one thing that's huge. The
And that's
profile,
still something. And that's still something that uh, when you move to Rise, when the company moves to Rise, that Basis is still going to be responsible for.
that's right. That's right. SAP only manages the operating system in the database. There's still a ton of work on the app layer that those basis admins can do to, get pride in their job and know that they're doing all they can to keep the system up and running as pristine as possible.
Well, it's kind of like how do you apply all of that expertise and that tribal knowledge, after decades of experience, that's not all of a sudden null and void because you have a new contract relationship with your ERP vendor. In fact, it's probably more valuable than ever as certain changes that need to be made to the system are in the form of a ticket. Um, I mean, I would think that you'd want to maintain your basis resources uh, to ensure that you're getting exactly what you request from SAP, and that when you do need to issue tickets to make those changes, that you are sizing correctly, and that you are getting the responsiveness that's necessary. You go in here to talk about monitoring integrations. Um, that seems to be blowing up with BTP and Integration Suite.
It is. I think this is a great time for a shameless plug for, Power Connect and RHONDOS and what we sell, right? Because while yes, SAP is monitoring the operating system in the database in these RISE environments, Power Connect helps give visibility back to the technical folks, right? Because of the way that our solution is architected, we give those folks visibility back to all three layers. So to answer your direct question about integrations, yes, SAP does not operate in a silo. It does not send data from SAP to SAP, and it talks to a lot of third-party systems. Obviously, now with BTP and Integration Suite, we're sending SAP data through those machines to third-party systems. And so, having the ability to monitor that entire end-to-end process in a single platform is was mind blowing for me and why I'm so excited to work at RHONDOS. These are all tools that I wish that I had when I was on the keyboard. But yeah, it's amazing, sending all of your logs, metrics, and traces to a single platform and being able to correlate that data to get full end-to-end visibility of integrations is amazing.
They SAP talks a lot about BTP Cockpit or Cloud ALM. You and I have done a lot of work in this place. I mean, I think over this last year, you and I we've gone to the Cloud ALM summits, the road shows. We've been investigating and researching all the capabilities around Cloud ALM and BTP Cockpit. Um, Honestly, they're phenomenal tools, and they do serve the purpose that they have exceptionally well. One thing I really like about SAP is their ability to articulate the roadmap to the customer base. And so when you go into Cloud ALM resources, you can see what the roadmap looks like. And we often hear, you and I both, we've been on calls with customers, and they ask us point blank, why isn't Cloud ALM enough? I mean, this is the number one recommended solution to execute and observe our strategy there. Do you think that customers are missing something, or do you think that they are right to think, well, yeah, let's go with Cloud ALM and all of our problems go away?
I mean, it's a great solution, right? It for some people it can be the answer, but for other customers that need deeper insights, that's really where Power Connect comes in, right? Because we are looking at payload level inspection of these messages that are being sent. And again, putting all of that data into a single platform gives us the ability to then correlate and make more meaningful decisions on that data in terms of alerting, um, and getting those tickets routed faster, right? You're not having to go
Yeah.
into the cockpit and try to look for errors. You can get alerted immediately when there are errors.
I think I've always viewed the monitoring strategy of Cloud ALM as like a bolt-on to kind of a broader strategy for business and digital transformation. Um, when I think about Cloud ALM, I think of it as like a facilitator. It's facilitating the transition to a SAP centric and a cloud centric business. Uh, they have a huge library of different playbooks and ways to execute, to migrate, and to operationalize your business processes in that SAP centric and cloud centric mindset. Um, and this visual is pretty good. It came out kind of grainy, unfortunately. I have to figure out why. But you can see that the theme here is, Cloud ALM guides you with RISE, with SAP methodology. It's your dashboard to measure and optimize clean core. It enables clean core, and it's the central part of this integrated tool chain. I think that it's an exceptional tool if the digital transformation strategy of a business is clean core, SAP centric, cloud centric. We're all in on the latest and greatest. But, after 25 years of doing this and seeing different businesses go through multiple migrations, like how many companies out there are adopting the bleeding edge latest strategy from SAP? Like, what's the reality on the ground? Is this really going to be the best fit for the majority of customers right now?
Right now, no. I mean, if we look at the overall SAP ecosystem, there's still a number of customers that haven't gone to RISE. They're, either holding on to their on-prem solutions or, maybe think that they want to wait to see RISE get proven out a little bit more before they make that jump. But when you are ready to make that jump, Cloud ALM does have really great tools to let you know what that conversion is going to look like and help guide that journey with you.
Yeah. I'm still I'm not surprised, but it's always interesting to see the statistics around just how many folks are still on ECC, right? How many folks are still running Solution Manager and they live on Solution Manager, and it's always surprising. Some of those legacy businesses, man, they got their stuff locked in, and it's like, well, I'm doing good. Like, why would I incur all of these new capital costs? Because it would change too much, right?
It's a brand new SAP go live for a lot of people. It's another greenfield implementation.
So let's talk about the problem with legacy monitoring. I think that we covered ASUG Tech Connect pretty well. It was a great session. We covered some of the topics. Let's move more into kind of the problem statement that we're focusing on at RHONDOS, and where we like to sit here. And I've got this slide I can bring up here. It's kind of a funny slide. We took screenshots of all of these different disparate tools, and kind of along with that theme, like, so few businesses are 100% standardized on any given vendor. And when you talk to CIOs, vendor lock-in is part of the strategy. Avoid vendor lock-in, right? Because that's a risk to the business, financial risk to the business. You don't want to be all in on one particular vendor. It's just it's too much to change if you're not expecting the financial repercussions of that. And so, on one hand, you could say, yeah, we need a good mix of vendors in order to stay diverse and to get competitive investment strategies across these vendors. But on the other hand, it inherently creates dozens of and hundreds of silos around the organization. These screenshots of monitoring tools, we've got Signavio up there, we've got SAP GUI up there, we've got vSphere for running your virtualization layer, we've got AWS Console for whatever workloads you have in the cloud. But, the bridge calls can exceed, 60, 70, 80 people, right? And you've got your experts, best of breed tooling across the entire org, yet every dashboard everyone's looking at is green. And, that doesn't, where's the meaning there when the customer latency on placing an order sucks, right? Like, hello, it's not the fastest, most intelligent way to observe your supply chain. And it generally is, slow timed insight. And it's all very technical. Like, when you, back in the day, were looking at like ST02 or ST06 or investigating an ABAP dump, right?
All the
Like,
things,
all the things. Like, how many business managers understood what you were talking about? I'm just curious. Like, how many folks in that room with a director title, VP title at the C level really understood that the consistent ABAP dumps was an indicator of some bad program that was issued on the transport during the last patch? Like, how many people really got that?
They didn't, but also I curse you a little bit for even mentioning those bridge calls because they still bring me trauma. Uh, being the hands-on basis guy at a big MSP supporting multiple customers,
Yeah.
I spent many hours on those bridge calls with all of those different teams, right? And so you're right. There is the infrastructure team, there's networking team, you've got, application managers for the third-party apps that are integrated with SAP, and we're all stuck on these bridge calls trying to figure out why a sales order, whatever it is, can't go through. And oftentimes, I'll be honest, like we sat on those calls 3 times as long as we needed because everybody would say, "Hey, my logs are clear. It's not my problem." Well, that doesn't get anybody off the call, right? The Sev one is still active. The customer still can't do what they need to do. And so we're stuck continuing to dig. And it's very frustrating. It's off, never happens in the morning. It always happens in the afternoon. So you're on these things all night. And then the next day is a waste because you're extremely tired. And so you're right, especially in SAP, which, we've got S4 as the core platform, but there's multiple apps that connect to SAP that are all tightly integrated into these business processes. And so you're not just digging into one system to find the problem. You're digging into multiple systems, multiple transactions in each system, trying to get the true picture of what the overall health of your SAP system is alongside the integrations that it's, got for the third party systems. So yes, this is a perfect slide for that. Yes.
This is
I don't know if I remember your exact question, but again, you just brought that trauma out of me when you mentioned those bridge
I
calls.
didn't mean to bring any trauma out. No, man, definitely not the intent. But I think it's a shared emotion across anyone who's been up late, and I certainly have. When I was on the customer side, getting those late night calls, having to either log in or show up on site to handle a critical down situation. And I think it's relatable to just about everyone that we talk to, partners, prospects, and customers. And yeah, this slide is a good one. It sometimes it's hard to zoom out and realize just how broad and entangled a business really is. Most of our customers, actually all of our customers, are in the Fortune 2000, and many of them are Fortune 500. And no one standardizes on one technology. They can't. A lot of these companies, through acquisitions or mergers, are going to inherit different technology stacks, different best of breed tools or worst of breed tools that they have to manage and migrate. This slide here is pretty neat, but it shows an example of like an energy and utilities company, and how you've got some really high tech stuff going on here, but ultimately you've got some Excel spreadsheets somewhere that the auditors are looking at, requiring exports. You've opened up your attack surface because now you're pulling exports out of your core ERP. Yeah, they've gone to S/4HANA Cloud, and that's phenomenal. But if you monitor only, S/4HANA Cloud, or outsource that to SAP, you're missing out on your integrations, like payment processing, that are going to affect your customer CSAT scores and customer satisfaction. Right? It may have nothing to do with the systems you have control over, but if
That's
this
right.
payment processing has a hiccup, or one of those integrations or APIs isn't holding true to their SLAs, that customer doesn't care because your business name is on the invoice.
That's
And
right.
it doesn't matter. And likewise, in this energy and utilities example, if a storm rolls in, takes out some power poles or disrupts the grid, and customers lose their utilities, power down, if that field service management system to accurately assign and dispatch those trucks to roll appropriately, if that doesn't work well, you're talking about massive delays in getting services back up to your customers. And oftentimes this is, life or death situations. If you have any kind of hospice or care facility that's impacted, you really need your field service teams and the way that your trucks roll to be accurate there to get them up and running. Just a great example there on why, we talk about holistic supply chain observability, end-to-end observability, because your customers really don't care.
Well,
They
think
want
about
it
our
up.
customer Medtronic, right? I mean, they ship life-saving devices to
Mm-hmm.
patients, and a printer can cause a SEV1 or potential injury to one of these patients if they can't print a bill of lading so that that truck can leave the dock. How are we monitoring these things in these big environments?
The customer doesn't care.
They don't care.
They don't care that MuleSoft is the problem and SAP's got the green lights. Like, it just doesn't matter. When you're running that kind of business, knowing where the problem is just as important as solving it. So we just have a few minutes left here. I think it would be prudent to kind of talk about how we solve for it, um, and why what we do requires a very specific kind of technology. A lot of people we talk to say, well, why don't we just get exports, read from the file system? What makes SAP so hard getting data out to complete the picture on your observability platform, like Splunk, for example? If I go to this next slide here, that shows kind of the architecture there, kind of walk me through why this architecture of the technology is so critical. Why is it so imperative to adopt this technology framework into your observability strategy, and honestly, why are our customers on Rise using this?
I get so excited every time I have an opportunity to talk about this because I lived in that world of having to check each system independently and, try to go back and forth between, two system screens to figure out where latency was. The amazing thing about Power Connect and the solution that we offer customers is the fact that we live directly in the ABAP layer. So there are no agents, right? I get frustrated when people call Power Connect an agent because it's a certified SAP add-on that sits directly in the NetWeaver stack, 300 plus out of the box extractors pulling data from all of the critical transaction codes that people care about, including security, compliance, performance, business use cases. Um, you know, Kind of the world is your oyster. And then in addition to that, it's a completely extensible platform. And I tell people all the time, it's not an app, it's a platform because there is zero data inside of SAP that we can't get access to. And so when you do that, in all of the systems in your landscape, pump that data to a common platform like Splunk, and then have the ability to correlate all of that data into a single pane of glass. It relieves that pain and tension from those Seb 1 bridge calls because we're all reading from the same playbook. We're all looking at the same picture. We can see the anomalies in one place. Probably don't even need to be on the bridge call because the tool's already, figured it out and sent out an alert, with machine learning and anomaly detection. Uh,
Not AI, right? Machine
Not
learning,
AI, not
anomaly
AI,
detection.
anomaly detection, machine learning, yes. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic, not having to set static thresholds for things like background jobs,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get alerted, create custom alerts, not being bound by SAP CCMS and the rigors that it provides, but being able to use, intelligent query language to generate your alerts on anything that you want across multiple systems.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fantastic. My excitement for this product has not died after 2.5 years of being here.
Love that. I love that so much. And from a data perspective, and to address the AI buzz out there, our partners that we work with, the Splunks and the Dynatraces, are continuing to advance their AI capabilities. Customers of ours that run Dynatrace, they're using Davis AI for causal artificial intelligence and RAG AI, and Splunk, Cisco just announced this new data fabric, which readies all of the data within the platform for future AI use cases. Some things change rapidly. AI is buzz, but garbage in, garbage out remains the name of the game. If you feed your agentic AI bad data, you're going to get bad solutions out. And so, in terms of preparing some of the hardest to reach, hardest to get data within your entire supply chain and preparing it for those agentic solutions, causal AI, and retrieval augmented generated solutions from knowledge bases, either within SAP through their own notes, through their own KB articles, or through your own. We have customers who run their own knowledge bases on best practices, bringing technical, functional, and business data together to enable that kind of AI solution is really what drives meaningful ROI. That's really the name of the game for projects starting and getting done today and right now. Love that so much. So a couple more slides I want to show before we wrap up today. I want to hit on, this slide is super, super powerful because we have customers running this tech in Rise right now. And you don't do that with a few lines of ABAP you wrote on a weekend because you felt cool about forwarding data. It's a rigorous certification process. We're close partners with SAP. Each new release, which we release 3 times a year, patches and minor releases, and we have a major release in lockstep with each new version of HANA. And so version 9 will be released here within a couple of days, actually, in lockstep with HANA 2025. And this goes through the certification process so that we can run Power Connect within S4 HANA Cloud, hosted on Rise, hosted in HANA Enterprise Cloud. You can host it on AWS, Azure, GCP, doesn't matter what your hyperscaler is, on-prem as well. It is at the NetWeaver app server layer, which means S4 is one of the many applications that you can observe end to end completely. There's also the Java variant to run on some of your old Cloud Connector or PO systems, along with Power Connect Cloud, which will enhance observability across your entire suite, which is a whole nother topic. We'll have to get into all the capabilities of cloud a little bit later on.
One bullet I just want to add on there real quick, Brian, before you go to the next slide, is that it
Yeah.
was certified by SAP to be both performant and secure. So in addition to, customers that are running on-prem and in RISE, we also have NS2 customers. So they've certified it to be secure.
NS2, wait a second. Isn't that the most secure environment by SAP?
It is. It is.
Huh. That's pretty cool. That's quite the testament. I like that a lot. And even though we have 300 out of the box extractors, which solves for most of the use cases that you'll find, we're the only company in the world to cross train on SAP and big data platforms and SIM platforms. There's a lot of different ways that you can ask us for help and that we can deliver value for your bespoke supply chain. And we maintain certifications across our whole team of remote first engineers, US based, with a support model that's always human, and you're not going to get a bot when you need support 24/7. So with that, you can schedule a demo, or if you'd like to chat with Ben, or if you'd like to chat with me or Sarah or anyone on our team, scan that QR code, schedule a follow-on meeting. If we saw you at ASUG Tech Connect, it was great to see you. Thank you for joining today. And with that, have a wonderful holiday season.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.